In an ever-changing world, Off Hollywood Media presents a voice of truth and inspiration, resonating a vibration of love, laughter, and understanding, illuminating new paths for new directions as we, as one, strive for higher and higher planes of existence, always remembering life changes. This is radio like you've never felt before. Life changes. And now, your host, our MC, the master of change, Filippo Voltaggio.
Ciao, everyone. Ciao, everyone. I was going to say, is laughter really in there?
Yeah.
You really? I thought maybe you just threw it in. I don't know if I've ever heard it before. Maybe I just haven't been listening. So in any event, well, thank you for that. I like that. Laughter indeed. Actually, I see it. Laughter indeed. And so it is. Geez, you know, today we've got something interesting. We've got a guest on that talks about something that is very, it's kind of like, there's some mythology that goes with it. There's, or truth, who knows? And it's could be questionable stuff, and it could be, interesting and fascinating and really important. And our guest is Ranan Shahar. And he is a founder of New Dawn Clinic here in Los Angeles. And what he does is fascinating, and we want to talk to him about it and learn more about it and see if it's something that we all can understand what it is and what he does. And gosh, I don't know. I'm saying absolutely nothing. I hope I am clear that I know that I'm saying absolutely nothing, because this topic is over my head maybe. So we'll try and get it in my head when we have an opportunity to talk to our guest, Ranan Shahar, who will be joining us in just a few minutes. But speaking about being over my head, you know, I've been looking at certain things in a way in my life that I never have before. So, for example, the other day, I just broke down and sewed a button on my short pants. Now, the reason I say on my short pants actually was two pairs of short pants and a pair of long pants. You see, back this past summer, many months ago, I popped a button on one of my pants and the other one fell off or something. So I put them on my bench in my bedroom, and I said, I will take those to the cleaner and have them, the buttons sewed on. And so I had to make sure the buttons were over here and I wouldn't lose them, and then the pants were over here, and then sure enough, the same thing happened to another pair of pants, and I put them with the other ones, and then every time I wanted to sit there, I would have to move the pants. I have to tell you, it became a minor inconvenience, or maybe not so minor, to have these three pairs of pants folded up there on my couch or bench that in my room that I would look at every single day, several times a day, in the morning and at night, and I'd say in my head, I've got to take those buttons to the cleaner and get them buttoned, and forget when I'd go or say, well, I should just do them. It'll only take me a second. I know how to do it. No big deal. But I didn't. Since this summer, they just sat there, and I would think about it and look at them all the time, every day, and think that. Well, I also got this beautiful curtain hanging in my bedroom, and it looked like part of it, the side, it started to get loose. The screw was starting to get loose from the wall. And I see it hanging, and I look at it like, that's going to fall one of these days. It's going to fall one of these days. And I keep looking at it, and I keep saying, I got to fix that. I got to find time to fix that. And that's another little minor inconvenience that I have to take time to do. But in the meantime, is taking up some mental energy and putting some negative energy on my day, thinking it's going to fall and it's going to make a hole on the wall and it's going to be worse if I just don't do it now. So several months ago, actually before the holidays, I installed a new printer and didn't have time to do the whole software thing, and I just wanted to print something real quickly, and I installed it on the computer enough to be able to print what I needed to print and run out the door or something. Well, the software that installs the printer wasn't happy with that because it didn't get to finish what it wanted to do. So now, every time I turn on my computer, it says, are you going to install this software? And I say, no, later. And then it says, are you sure? And I say, yes, I'm sure. And it's like, well, when exactly do you want to do it? And I'd say, just leave me alone. I keep pushing like 3 or 4 buttons in order to get this software off my computer several times a day. Several times a day when I'm opening my computer. And it's a minor inconvenience. And I started to think, as I just finally broke down and said, I'm going to stop, because minor inconveniences add to minor inconveniences all of a sudden become a big part of my day. Having to turn off all these software things that are happening as soon as I open my computer, I forget that I do them now because it's become automatic after doing all these months. I forget that these pants on my couch bench are a problem, and so I just move them and I just deal with these minor inconveniences day in and day out until they have consumed so much of my life. I started to notice. So the other day I put a stake in the ground. I said I'm sewing the buttons to these pants so that they can be out of my sight, out of my life, and be ready for me this coming summer and not have to worry about it. And I'm going to take care of this software issue on my computer, and I'm finally just going to fix that curtain rod so I don't have to think about it ever again. And I can't tell you this, as I'm getting rid of these minor inconveniences that have become lumped together as a major inconvenience, I'm starting to free up some energy and some time that I used to waste on these little annoying things that I didn't think were that big a deal. Now that's kind of on the physical plane. It's interesting that I started to look and say, well, where else do I do this? And I do this inside my head. So I say to myself things like, what an idiot, I can't believe I did that. Oh, that was stupid of me. And I start to, though those might not be inconveniences that I would label as such, they are things that kind of chip away at my confidence, chip away at my security of do I know what I'm doing? And I just called myself an idiot. So what? I just called myself stupid. Or it wasn't I'm that's stupid. It's what I did that was stupid. And, I don't want to say it on radio. But anyways, those things get said. And so I thought, well, wait a minute. Kind of like how my day started to get filled up with these minor inconveniences that I was doing, maybe my mind was getting filled up with these negative thoughts about myself, even though it's just something here or it makes somebody laugh there or I don't really mean it that seriously. What if some of that sticks? Because you take all those stupids and idiots and whatever else and you lump them all together. I think I had a nice big chunk of brain that was dedicated to self-deprecation. And so as I started to clean up the minor inconveniences in my life, I started to say to myself, I'm going to clean up the self-deprecations in my life, in my brain, and free up not only my room and the energy that I spend looking at the things that are problems, but also my mind and the energy that I spend putting myself down and addressing 2 things right off the bat that were simple and yet difficult to do because we're just used to sweeping things under the rug or just procrastinating and saying we'll do it later or just saying, it's not that big of a deal or whatever we say. But it's not acceptable anymore to me, and I'm not going to do it. And it's exciting to know that I get to free up that energy and that space and that time in my life. And who knows what my mind is going to think about when it doesn't have to think about those things. So I wanted to share that with you all. I'm telling a little bit on myself, but I'm used to doing that now. And it's kind of fun because now I know that as I share that some people hold me responsible to keep to what I'm saying. And I'm happy to, because I know it can only bring good for all of us involved. So with that, I want to remind everybody that you're listening to Filippo Voltaggio. That is I. That is me. That is I. This is him. Here he is. And that you're listening to Life Changes. You can learn more about us at lifechanges.ws. And find us on Facebook, on our Facebook page, Life Changes, and of course under me, Filippo Voltaggio, and getting up there in the friends, but I hope that I can include as many people as Facebook will let me, and we'll enjoy each other. And speaking of enjoying, we've got a guest in the studio with us today, and he is Ranan Shahar. He'll have to tell me what LAC is and MSC is. Those are the letters that go after his name, because I've never seen those. And he is the founder of the New Dawn Clinic, located in Los Angeles here in California. He is a master of Oriental medicine, a licensed acupuncturist, a certified practitioner of NAET. NAET helps in the permanent elimination of allergies, which many researchers now believe to be a primary underlying link to all diseases. He is the creator of Atlas Evolution, and that's the thing that has a lot of some mythology and some mysticism surrounding it that I was trying to explain earlier and not doing a very good job at. A revolutionary new technique that reunites the brain with the body, relaxes the muscles, opens up the chakras, and connects the pituitary gland to the pineal gland once and for all. So his mission is to improve the quality of life for everyone, and he is here with us. Welcome to the show, Ranan Shahar.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
It's great to have you, Ranan. First of all, LAC, MSC.
You already said it. The LAC means licensed acupuncturist.
Oh, okay.
MSc is Master of Science.
Oh, okay.
It's Oriental medicine. Yeah.
Oh, very good. Okay, well, I've actually been to an acupuncturist, so I didn't remember seeing that. But so thank you for sharing that. And NAET?
Nabudripad Allergy Elimination Technique.
Nabudripad.
Nabudripad, that's the name of the doctor that developed it in the early 90s. And you can say also natural. It's a natural technique to eliminate allergies that, like so many other things, are part of our program in our brain. We can be born with it or acquire it in life for some reasons, for many reasons. And so this technique works on erasing that conditioning or that history that we had there of pattern of reacting to certain foods or certain chemicals or certain people even, you know.
Oh. so it's true when one says, I'm allergic to that person.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah, because we all have a field, electromagnetic field. So sometimes you meet someone and you never talk to them, you don't know them, and you feel a resonance. You feel it's like a sense of familiarity. I know this guy or this woman, and you feel a resonance, and you feel that you can be close with that person. And some other times you'll meet someone, and that energy feels, you know, it's like, I don't want to know this person, I don't want to be close to that person, I don't want to talk to him. For some reason, something about his or her field irritates you, you know, for example. So it can be both ways. So we electromagnetic fields, all of us.
So there is such a thing as love at first sight, then?
Yeah. Yes. And the relationship experts that wrote the books about that say that when you, I think it was John Gray that said that when you see somebody, when you have that feeling of love at first sight, stay away from that one because it's very because it's very karmic. You have some karma to finish with that person. So I don't know.
Then maybe
it might be true. And rather than, you know, that can be, in other words, can be very intense. That kind of love from first sight. And I think most of the time it is like that.
Well, it's interesting because I was going to say, because if that exists, then it sounds like from what you were saying earlier that there's such a thing as hate at first sight.
Oh, yeah. That can be too, of course.
Interesting.
All of those, yeah.
And so you're saying, the hate at first sight is like an allergic reaction.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
And so through this NAET, there's a way of healing that allergy?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I treated many times over the years allergic reaction between people. Often that can happen in a relationship between husband and wife or man and a woman. Often it can happen.
Really?
Oh yeah. Often it can happen with the parent and the children.
Wow.
Very often, you know. So it's amazing what can happen if you take it takes the edge off, you know. And after a treatment like that, two things can happen. Either the relationship is going to be enhanced and it's going to be so much better, or it's two people are going to go there. I'm not talking about parents and children.
Right.
They're bound.
Yeah.
But if in a relationship, two people will maybe go their separate ways.
Interesting.
After clearing the allergies.
So what do I do? Do I come to you with a whole list of names, or do you need to know?
Funny.
Do you not need to know who it is?
No. I definitely need for the treatment to know, and the person need to know it is. But I help the people to figure out who it is. They don't. Sometimes they don't know, and I'll muscle test, because this whole technique is based on muscle testing.
So it's a physical thing.
Oh.
You actually physically manipulate the body to help heal this allergy.
Yeah, because there's no separation between the physical and the mental and the emotional. It's all connected. There's no cut line that you can see. That's the physical, that's the mental, that's the emotion, that's the spiritual. It's all blending together, but we make the separation. But you can't really separate. It's all together.
Yeah, everything's together.
Right.
So here we're talking about allergy to people. That's fascinating. I've never really thought about it that way. So now also food. Are you saying that there's a physical manipulation, or this is a programming if we're allergic to certain food or certain smells, or
yeah. It's all in our. We're a little bit, human beings are a little bit like. Well, let's say the computer is a little bit like us, but we have a supercomputer in our head, our intelligence, and so we have programming. The software, the programming is there, and that programming can come from this life, but it can also come from our ancestors. Meaning, we say genes, DNA, that has to do with the people that brought us here, and so. Often you will see that, somebody that has allergies often has one or both of the parents with allergies too, and they will have somebody in their ancestral with allergies and so forth, and it goes like that. And then you think, well, we take it's like, oh, it's a physical thing, it's in our genes. But maybe it's also in our belief system, because I think that we love so much our parents. Now, a lot of people are listening and say, I don't know if I love my mother and my father. We have issues. But deep inside, everybody loves their both their parents. It's our bloodline. And so subconsciously, many times we will take, because of this unconditional love that we have, that can be sometimes masked, and we are not aware of it. But because of that, we will take our parents or our ancestors' ailments in allergies and in
like
in
sympathetic ailments.
Yeah. Often you will see a woman gets a breast cancer more or less the same age that her mother got the breast cancer, or men get a heart attack almost in the same age that their father get a heart attack. Allergies also the same way. So I think in when we come in touch with it, we can clear that, because we can still love them, but without taking their ailments. This is also conditioning. It all starts from a program conditioning that maps our life, maps everything out. So we need to get out of that.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is interesting to me, and first of all, I know you just got back from a couple of weeks in Hawaii where you were lecturing. 1 month. Okay.
I did a tour of all the islands.
Wow, and you're actually requested to talk in many parts of the world, and allergy isn't the biggest thing you talk about. I think actually the atlas. Because
I guess. The atlas work that I do is so unique,
right,
that actually nobody else in the whole world is doing it in the same way that I'm doing it, or that I'm developing, until I'm going to start teaching it, which is going to happen very soon, projecting to 2010. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, but it seems that now it's all coming together, and that is a unique work that can help so many people around the globe to open up, not only to feel better physically, but also to open up, to allow the consciousness to expand in such a way so that we can have here on this planet a better life, and a better understanding with each other, and more compassion.
Absolutely. And so my mentioning that, I wanted to say that two things. A, that you're being requested all over the world to talk about this, and B, that I know you got back at 5 o'clock this morning, so we appreciate you being on the show at this time, because I know it's you're on a time warp here. Right. But so the Atlas. Let's start with the physical. Now, it's exciting to me that a few years ago, or maybe a little more than that, but chiropractors really weren't that well known, or maybe even respected by the medical community, and now they are more and more people would go to a chiropractor to heal certain ailments as opposed to going to a regular doctor. So already that's one hurdle we don't have to cross. And you're a chiropractor.
No. I want to correct you on that.
We still have to cross that hurdle.
Yes, because I'm not a chiropractor.
Oh, you're not?
I'm an acupuncturist, and this treatment is not a chiropractic treatment.
Uh-huh.
Often people mistake it to be a chiropractic treatment, and because using the word Atlas, which I don't think belongs to any profession or anybody, it's just a word that describes the first cervical vertebra, which is the very top one, the one that had sits on, and it's after the mythological figure Atlas from the Greek mythology that carried the whole world on his hand, and his neck was twisted to the side like that, if anybody has seen those pictures
of Atlas.
Right. But so Atlas evolution is an evolution of the treatment, but not only the treatment, but of all of us as human beings at these crucial times. And so you mentioned the chiropractic profession, how the medical doctors were really against them at first when they started, and they wouldn't accept them, and there was a whole thing. And now they have a strong lobby, and chiropractic is very well accepted pretty much all across the country. So now some of the, I'm not saying every, there are a lot of open-minded chiropractors, but some of the chiropractors are trying to do this to me, or to this, to this technique, because it's a non-chiropractic technique, which means it's not taught in any chiropractic school. There are no chiropractors that practice it, and it does not involve any adjustment. You see, the difference is that this technique is all, Atlas evolution is all about creating space. All I do is I create space in the soft tissue, and the body does the rest. The body may adjust itself, but I don't do any adjustment. I just create the space. So whether there are several upper cervical chiropractic techniques, I think 7 or even 8 of them, that have taken it to a science and taken the X-rays, and helps. Some of them are done with machines. Some of them are done by hand to push the bone back to its correct position. The difference between all those techniques and Atlas evolution, what I'm talking about, is here the focus is not on the bone at all, and I don't need to take X-rays or anything like that. All I do is I have a special handheld instrument. It's very simple percussion type instrument that helps to unwind those muscles, the soft tissue. And when I say soft tissue, I mean the muscles, the connective tissue, the fascia, the ligaments, the subcutaneous layer, all of that, which you can call soft tissue, or you can call it also the fabric. And that is where the stagnation is. And that's actually more based on the traditional Chinese medicine on the theory that the energy runs through our meridian system, and where it's stuck, you need to open it. So basically, I use often classical acupuncture points, but in this treatment, without puncturing the skin, actually, just putting that probe on those points and run the energy through the meridian, and then it opens up, and the energy can go through, and the frequency of that instrument also relaxes not only the soft tissue, but also relaxes the brain waves. So when a brain can come down, it can let go of the tight muscle, because it's the brain that holds a muscle tight. So all I'm doing really is confusing the connection between the brain and the tight muscle, so the brain can let go. And sometimes a tight muscle like that, or cramped muscle like that, has been there for many years. Some people, I've heard it many times, tell me, since my whiplash accident 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it has not been the same. I went to the chiropractor, I went to the physical therapist, I got temporary improvement, but then I'm back where I was. Well, these people come to me, and after one treatment, they are completely in a different place. Why? Because I unwind that cramped muscles. And that was my focus. And sometimes a muscle that hold the atlas in the wrong position might be not even around the atlas, might be somewhere else. It's all connected.
Interesting. And that's you use the word confuse. You help the mind confuse, or however you used it. But ironically, I have been confused myself. I just assumed, since there was it seemed like a manipulation involved, I just assumed that was also a chiropractic technique, and it sounds like there are some chiropractors that do something similar, but not exactly that. So let's try and I actually had this done, and I still don't understand what it is, but I know that I felt something, so we can talk about that a little later. Okay. So here we have the spine. Everybody has a spine, and hopefully it's all aligned, and if not, that's what we go to a chiropractor for, to help us align the spine. Now, at the very, very top of the spine, is it a bone?
Yeah.
Called the atlas.
Yeah, it's the very top bone.
Okay, so it's the last bone before the head, right?
Exactly.
And you're saying it's what the head actually sits on.
Right.
The first bone of the of the spine.
Yeah.
And you're saying that is out of whack, and it's because of accidents, or it's always been that way for everybody?
Well, it's a very interesting question. I think in answer to your question, there's both of those aspects. The fact of the matter is that I have now palpated thousands and thousands of people, probably well over 10,000.
And by palpated, you mean done this procedure?
Yeah,
okay.
and I palpated more people than treated, but I have not found, meaning to say this, which is an interesting observation, meaning out of thousands of people that I palpated to feel, I haven't felt even one person yet that their atlas seemed to be in the correct position.
Oh, okay. So
some of them have gone through other techniques of adjusting the atlas, and still it wasn't right. So that supports the possibility that maybe all of us are born like that. Again, going to what we talked earlier, that maybe it is a genetic quote-unquote defect. I don't think that the God or the Creator, whatever you believe in, did a mistake. I believe that we were all created perfectly. But somewhere along the line, something happened. And to what happened, there are many interesting stories. I don't know if that's the place to get into those, but I'm writing a book about it, and I'll have those stories there because they are fascinating to me.
Actually, I do want to get into those. And before we do, I want to remind everybody that you're listening to Life Changes. That's lifechanges.ws is our website. This is Filippo Voltaggio, and we're talking to Ranan Shahar, who is an acupuncturist and the founder of New Dawn Clinic, and a procedure he created called the Atlas Evolution. You can learn more about this at www.atlasevolution.com, or newdawnclinic.net. You can learn more about the procedure and learn more about Ranan and learn of his touring schedule where he speaks and the book that he's going to write. And yes, Ranan, I do want to touch upon the quote-unquote mythology or folklore or truth, according to some people, as to how this little bone is displaced in everybody that you've touched. Now, I understand now when you say palpitated, you just meant felt to see if it's actually out. But then you've treated the ones that have asked for treatment. Okay. So of everybody you have felt, it's been out in everybody. So
and out in a similar way. That's why it leads to the conclusion. Maybe it is something. What's going on here?
Okay.
Because everybody, whether they're right-handed or left-handed, a lot of people say, well, it can start from birth, early in life. The way most of us have been born in a rough, sometimes violent birth, going through the birth canal. That can tweak the atlas. But you know what? I treated more than a few people that have been born in a C-section from a cesarean, and their atlas was out.
And their atlas is out too. So we're talking
that.
about this little bone that is the very top of the vertebrae of our spine, and it is the bone that the head sits on, and it is out of place in everybody that you've tested. And so tell us some of the theories behind how it's fascinating. Some people believe what about this bone? That it's so important and that somebody,
All right, let's talk about...
Just go for it.
Let's talk about some scientific facts here, quote unquote. I mean, I think we all heard that scientists have been saying for a while that human beings use only 10 to 15% of the brain. Right. And you've heard that, right?
Right.
And then I think in the last couple of years, they've even reduced it to 7 or 8%. In any case, 7, 8, 10, 15, it's not much for the human brain.
Right.
Now, think about it. Look at us human beings. What are we doing to this planet, and how we're treating each other for thousands of years now? This is getting intensified right now because we are more people.
Right.
But polluting the oceans, polluting the earth, polluting the air, polluting everything. I mean, this is where we live. What's something is in our thinking is not. What are we thinking?
Right.
Something is not right. That's the part of the brain, I think, that doesn't work. Or it's not developed, I mean, we are good to develop computers and cell phones and all that, and we're supposed to make our life more comfortable. I have my doubts about that. You remember the days without cell phone? You could go out for a walk. You don't have to worry if you have to answer a call or not. You felt more free, With a computer, I'm not against computer, but when people send you emails, they do expect to get an answer. If they don't, to get so it makes it more convenient. It has both sides to it.
Right.
So it was supposed to make our life more convenient, but anyway, I've my doubts about it. So we are good, and we have airplanes and all this beautiful technology, but we are on the verge of extincting ourselves also. So that there's a part of the brain that in most of us doesn't work very well. And so why? What's going on? And so I think, let me just explain that when the atlas is tweaked, which is the case in most people, and it's not in the right place, it will cause pressure on this hole that is called the foramen magnum, which is the hole where the spinal cord connects to the brainstem.
Right.
Which is the most important neural intersection in the body, where brain meets body. So if it's tweaked, there's a pressure on the brainstem, and that keeps human beings vibrating on a low frequency. The brain is not fully developed. That's why it's good to do this treatment early in life as possible. That's what I recommend, so the brain can develop.
So I just had it done a year ago, and there's no chance for me from now on, because I'm already developed.
For a lot of people, it's good to have it once a year. This is not the type of treatment that you need to do twice a week for the next few months or for the next 5 years. But definitely, on an average, once a year, I think is really good, because with computers and driving and whatever we do in life, muscle get tight again. So it's always good, and this is a very sensitive area, especially, for example, so many people today spend so much time in front of a computer, and they will see they're so tight, and that will, cause the whole body to be tight, and that is not only affecting our posture and our head and our brain function, it's affecting all health, because all the meridians, that's Chinese medicine again, of the body run through it to the top, and if the energy is blocked in any of the meridians, it can affect the heart, the lungs, the spleen, whatever, inside too.
Well, let's get back to the mythology just for a few minutes.
The mythology, you like that subject. Okay. So some people believe, and that I want to make it clear, this is not my theory, and I just love to collect the different stories, and that's why I'm writing a book about it and have people read about it, because it's interesting. But I'm not saying that is the way it is. Okay. I'm just observing, and I'm opening, and I welcome if any of the listeners has more stories about this. I'm open. I'm not thinking this is the way it is.
So you're just saying everybody's atlas is out. We just need to fix it in order to be able to use more of our brain.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. More of our brain, and that will put us in a much better posture. That will make us taller.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. I measure people that are taller after the treatment.
Really?
You notice how a lot of people, as they age, they shrink.
Right.
So there's no need for that.
Okay, so
remember, all I do is I create space so that we can be taller after the treatment.
So it could be that going through the birth canal, or actually no, because you've treated people that have come out of a C-section,
right.
and they still had the atlas out of place. So if you're saying that God did not create a mistake, so what happened according to some people? We never talk about this stuff on the show, and I just feel like I just wanted a couple minutes of it.
I know where you're getting to. Some of the stories are really out there for some people. So for those of you who are don't think this is just a story. And actually, this story has been circulating on the internet and so forth. But and I didn't write that story, but. There was an article called "Reversing the Curse." It was written by Jean-Claude Covey, which is an author, and wrote a few books. One of them is Going Deeper, and so forth. And he had my treatment a few years ago, and after that treatment, came out with this story, which I haven't asked him to write it. It was totally spontaneous on his own. And to come up with a story, because he just wrote basically about his experience and did the research, and what he came out was pretty interesting to the fact that some people actually there were a lot of people that wanted to see me and receive the treatment because they read this article, and then there were a lot of people that read this article and say, we don't never want to see this guy. This is too crazy. This is too out there. We don't believe in this stuff. And so there's both, And that's why I'm careful to talk about the story. And
we don't have to talk about it then if you don't want to.
But basically, no, I have no problem with it. I just want to make it, that this is people will hear the story and to understand that I'm neutral. I don't care less. There's no way to prove if this story is correct or not. Anyway, I'm just having fun about hearing the different stories.
Okay, so we're beating around the fact that there are alien beings that wanted to have this bone out of place because then we'd be better slaves.
Yeah, the Anunnaki came here, according to this story, from wherever they're from their planet, because they needed gold for the survival of their planet, and there was gold here. And obviously gold is our currency, but it has no practical meanings really for human beings here. But it became the top, which is interesting, the top currency until now. But they came because they needed the gold. They wanted the humans to be a slave race. So they founded genetically engineering, what we call, and put the atlas of the human beings, tweaked it and put it in a position, and the wrong position will keep human beings vibrating under low frequency and easier to be controlled. Now that's a story. But regardless of the story, think about that. Regarding aliens, no aliens, it doesn't matter. How easy human beings, even today, are so easy to be controlled, and not by the smartest people either. And the control is done by the media, by the television, by everything. Everything keeps us in control. And how come human beings are so easy to be controlled? How come we cannot take responsibility for our own life, for our own health, for our own social surroundings, so we can actually change the world? We always expect somebody else to do it for us. If we are sick, go to the doctors. He knows what to do with us. If we come to our society, we think that if we elect this official and this politician and this president, they'll do it for us. You know what? Nobody's going to do it for us. Each one of us has to affect the change. Each individual from their own has to take responsibility. Is not somebody else out there. And I think this is the world we are moving into, and this is the raising of the consciousness. So each one of us take responsibility, and instead of complaining, for example, about so many people saw all the horrible things with the plastics in the oceans, how the birds and the fish and everybody's dying from tons of plastic in the Pacific Ocean. Why don't each one of us, for example, take care of our own thing with the plastic? Just one example, but it's with everything like that.
I like that. And you're saying that adjusting our atlas is one of the things that could help us connect more with that part of the brain that we're not using and allow us to take more responsibility. Whether there is anybody trying to control us or not, whether we believe that, obviously there is a mass culture that we seem to follow blindly sometimes.
Right.
And you're saying that by having this kind of a procedure done, that this relieves the pressure on that nervous system and allows us to use more of our brain and be more free, independent thinkers, and also be more conscientious.
Be more conscientious and more, and I wanted to correct you before again, this is not adjusting the atlas. This is a chiropractic word, so I don't want to...
Right, okay.
Maybe repositioning the atlas or creating space. I love creating space because quantum physics, everything is about space. And all I do is creating more space in a very physical way, but that affects us also in a very metaphysical way. So it's all about creating more space. And when we have more space, our consciousness has more expansion. Because what is space anyway? Space maybe is that consciousness, that intelligent consciousness that is everywhere, in our body and outside our body. It's everywhere, and we can feel it, and we can be a part of it, And that's, I think, talking about this. Also, I want to add that that part of the treatment and the way I do it, it's really about instead of being we human beings are too much in our head all the time. We think, we analyze everything. That's why you see people are walking too much with their head forward. That's why the posture. Most people they're not here, they're in the future. They're thinking. This is about coming back to our body and be present. And it's about opening of the heart. Because when we can open our heart, then we can really feel Mother Earth. We can feel each other. We can really be in a space that is here and now, and which means we can feel love, we can feel joy, we can feel peace. And this is really what all this is about. Now that's part of the treatment when I go over different energy centers and open them up, because you see the Atlas is in the level of the what we call the fifth energy center, or the fifth chakra, which has to do with communication, right? And what is our biggest challenge in the world right now? It's communication, or maybe lack of communication, right? And it starts at home with husband and wife, and or mother and kids, or father and kids, and so forth, neighbors, and then it's nations. And then nations cannot communicate very well, and they say, okay, let's legitimize killing by wearing a uniform and go and and kill those people, you know. But if you can, right? But if you can communicate, you see, and the heart center is here. The crown is on the top of our head, you know. So the blockage is here. So when
right in the middle,
right in the middle. So when we can open up that blockage, then we allow better communication between the heart and the crown. And so anybody can communicate their ideas, you know, and so many people communicate their ideas. But how many people, and it's all coming from the mind, but how many people can really communicate from the heart? And I think that's what...
aligning that and having no blockage in between that.
Right.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing with us, hopefully a little bit more understanding even for the audience of what is going on and what your work is. And the good news is that you're teaching other people, or you're going to be teaching other people how to do this, and so that more people can have it done. And I know you travel throughout doing it to thousands of people. So it's fascinating, the pathology and even the allergy, everything that we've talked about. You always share so many interesting things, and we're glad you're out there doing that. So thank you for having come as tired as you were and keeping your schedule with us as well, and we appreciate that. We've been talking to Ranan Shahar, and he is the founder of the New Dawn Clinic and the creator of the Atlas Evolution, the technique we've been talking about. So to learn more about him and his evolution technique, go to Atlas, that's ATLAS, evolution.com, or newdawnclinic.net. Ranan, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Okay.
Wow. Well, that was... I'm glad he touched on all those subjects. There's so much, and we've noticed this with so many of our guests that more and more people are knowing so much, and they bring so many different aspects into the work that they do, that it's not just one thing that they know about. And that's one of the things with the show, is that we always have so much information that we try and cram in a short period of time, but we're bringing as much in as we can, and we hope that it's appreciated. And speaking of bringing as much in as we can, we've got Dorothy Lee Donahue with the State of the Universe address.
Hi. It's really funny because tonight, while listening to the show, I had already had an idea of what I was going to talk about. And it wasn't until the last 3 minutes that I understood that, yes, Ranan and I are talking about the same thing tonight. Communication. What kind of a world do you think it would be if we had received loving praise, acknowledgement, and respect, not only from our parents, but our siblings and our friends while growing up? Most of our generation didn't have this kind of support, Ranan's and mine. Instead, we've been taught from generation to generation that we were wrong, bad, and stupid. Our parents, teachers, friends, lovers, bosses, husbands, wives, co-workers, and others have often talked to us in this way, in the mistaken idea that they are helping us to be better people. What do you think our kids would do if we said to them, "You are much too intelligent to make these kinds of choices," instead of calling them fools or telling them that they are stupid or wrong? What a wonderful world we can co-create if we begin to choose to praise and recognize and acknowledge the good in one another, instead of focusing on what, in our opinions, is wrong, bad, or stupid about them. A little praise and recognition will go a long way and will bring about magical results. Part of my job as an agent of change is to help my clients see what I see in them. As many of you know who have listened to the shows in the past, I always close with these words: You are lovable, you are loved, and you are loved. I use these words because no matter what anyone has said or done, we are all worthy of love. We are all one. We are all children of the universe. We are all equal in the eyes of our Creator. One of my very best friends used to believe that it was his job to point out to his family and to his friends what was wrong with them, and their relationship stayed the same until he chose to do things differently. And ever since, he began to look for the good in each of his siblings. And when he began to see how his father had truly loved him, in spite of his father's often abusive behavior, his life changed dramatically for the better. When was the last time you looked for the good in a situation? When was the last time you told someone they were appreciated and valued? When was the last time you praised someone for a job well done? When was the last time someone told you that you were appreciated? When was the last time you received recognition or praise for a job well done? Praise, recognition, acknowledgement are very powerful tools, and they assist us in forming great relationships. And we can use praise and recognition to help ourselves and others become all we and they have come here to be. So imagine what a great world we will co-create by using praise, acknowledgement, recognition for others and for ourselves, whether it be at work or in our personal lives. Everyone, young and old alike, all love it when we are praised for our accomplishments. This encourages us to do even greater things. Until recently, and because of intergenerational programming, we've not been taught or reminded of the importance of focusing on the good. Instead, we were taught in school to look for and focus on what is wrong with others and what they did or didn't do. For example, we would often laugh at the way they looked, walked, talked, dressed, or even what they did with their hair. We were taught to condemn, criticize, and complain. This kind of behavior doesn't help us or help the world we live in. So let us choose to become the change we wish to see in the world. We all have the ability to encourage and praise. So let's do it when people are doing something right. We can find it. When we are willing to encourage people, when we are willing to become aware of and to recognize others' accomplishments, we create an atmosphere and a culture that reinforces a positive outcome. So let us all choose to become agents of change, both in our personal lives and in our places of work, by looking for the good in ourselves and in others. We can do this by choosing to become more self-aware. By this, I mean let us listen to our own self-talk, and let us become aware of how we interact with family, friends, neighbors, bosses, and co-workers. Put into action what our mothers taught us. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Or better yet, go one step further. Find something nice to say. If you look hard enough, you can and will find something to acknowledge and praise in others. We have the ability to become inspiring and empowering individuals. By becoming the change we wish to see in the world, we can change the world. So please choose to join me in choosing to catch people doing good and in praising them publicly when you see this occurring. If someone is doing something not so good and you feel you must criticize them, then please do so privately. And always remember this: separate people from their actions. For example, when someone does something that you're not happy with, you could say, "I love you, but I don't like it when you do this." By making these few simple changes, we become part of the process of co-creating a new way of living and being, and a new world. Until next week, please remember that you are the power in your world. You are the guru you've been waiting for. Choose to become a very conscious co-creator by making elegant choices. And never forget that you are powerful beyond measure, and that you are loved, you are lovable, and you are loved.
Thank you, Dorothy Lee Donahue with the State of the Universe address. And before you go, I have to say, we seem to be doing this almost every week. You know, you told me you were going to be talking about something altogether different today, and then you wrote what you were going to talk about earlier and didn't tell me, and I wrote what I was going to talk about. And then I talked about calling myself stupid and an idiot and all that, and you talked about people calling other people that. And I think it's a beautiful thing. We are so connected.
We must know one another.
We must. Well, I just think that the show is so cohesive.
It really is.
It really comes together. We as if we know what we're doing, as if we plan this. Even though we don't always have time to plan exactly, it still works. We can't do anything wrong. Right, Mark?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, so with that is our show. Again, we'd like to thank Ranan Shahar for being on the show and invite you to go to our website to learn more about him as well. And we look forward to having another special guest next week. And I'm not going to say who it is because last week we thought we could get who we thought we will get. It's just that we weren't able to work it out because of scheduling. So we're just going to leave it as a surprise for next week. But remember, you can keep the conversation going during the week by visiting us on our website and also on our Facebook pages. And we do our best to connect with everybody that reaches out to us. As a matter of fact, we have invited so many people from our Facebook page to our live event, our first live event of 2010. And it's going to be at the LAX Hilton in conjunction with the LA Conscious Life Expo on February 11th, Thursday. Yes, Renan's going to be there, and Dorothy's going to be there, and Mark, our producer, is going to be there, and I'm going to be there, and lots of other people. So it's going to be quite exciting, and we hope to see you all there. And for more information on that, do go to our website as well, lifechanges.ws. Want to remind everybody that today's show has been made possible in part by our sponsors, Ionways Water Systems, Change Your Water, Change Your Life, and Love and Miracles. To learn more about them, visit our sponsor page on our website and click on their links. I am Filippo Voltaggio, and it's been my pleasure being of service by hosting Life Changes today. I, along with our segment hosts and co-producers, Dorothy Lee and Mark Leger, and our engineer, Seth, thank you for joining us and being part of the change that we wish to see in the world. And we thank you for joining us and being part of the show and being part of, that's what I wanted to say, and being part of the change we all wish to see in the world and in me. Ciao, everyone.
And in case you didn't notice, you have been listening live to Life Changes with the Master of Change, Filippo Voltaggio. Join us here every Monday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And visit us on the web at lifechanges.ws. Also, you can follow our community on Facebook at Life Changes. Join us here next week as we consciously embrace and explore the only constant, life changes.